Hey guys, it's Happy Nirvana. Sorry for the delay on getting part 2 out. I've been busy with work and doing the taste testing videos. So we're going to focus primarily on what I call the south of the river, Waterloo, Lambeth, and Southwark. Hopefully I pronounced that right. So we're going to pop over to our next slide here and blow it up just a little bit. And there we go. So obviously, and you'll see my finger pointing things out because I'm a dork. So obviously you see the Thames there. Over on the west side is where Westminster's at. So probably one of the biggest attractions in this area is going to be the London Eye. It's basically a giant Ferris wheel, but it gives you a very good look at the city. I did not go on it when I was there. Um, Highly recommend that you uh, get tickets beforehand, and if you don't like waiting, paying extra money to get in the fast queue. Now, what I didn't mention in the last video is, and this goes along with transportation, is you can get on the Uber boats and stuff. There's one right just off, just down from the eye, and then across the river. So you'll see Westminster Bridge here. Along London Eye, you have there's a carousel around there, and then you'll have the Sea Life and the Shrek's Adventures, and that is along that area. Now, what I didn't have written down here, but I think it's important, at least for me it was, is south of the Westminster Bridge is a wall, and the wall is currently the COVID Remembrance Wall. I don't know if it'll ever change, but it's something I think you should check out. It's there's hearts that are covering it, photographs, and it's just a remembrance of people who had were affected or lost their lives to the COVID pandemic. So go from London Eye, you're going south, and you'll see it marked with the heart, and you can read it. A Florence Nightingale Museum, and it's not a real big museum, but it's something that I think should be on the list of things to see. Florence Nightingale played a very important part in modern English history, and especially with the medical. There generally is a reenactment. They do have original artifacts from Florence Nightingale, so definitely something to check out. Now I'm going to go south again here in a second, and we're going to go to the Imperial War Museum, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's basically it's more on the modern side of things for Britain's involvement in war, but if you're historical minded and one part of that focal point is um, in the realm of wars that were fought, especially World War One or World War Two. It's definitely some place I think to check out. It was very interesting. They do have a section of the Berlin Wall just outside of there, which I thought was pretty neat. So we're going to go back up north towards Waterloo Station. You can see these rail lines here. That's Waterloo Station. Just off of Waterloo Station is what's called the Vaults. It's also called Leek Street. And this is a tunnel where graffiti is legalized. You can, all you need is a paint can, paintbrush, and your artistic license to go in and do your own artwork. There's a lot of different unique artwork. I have went through there and taken plenty of pictures. There's some artwork that I kind of wish would have just stood alone. I realize, the whole point is it's a rotation of, as different artists come in, you're going to get different artworks. But there's some artwork in there that, man, I mean, to me, it's like museum quality artwork. So we're going to go up and north, and I'm not skipping this stuff here. There are some things to see along here, and this is one of the things when I go on and talk about walking London. Walking along the Thames is an experience itself to see different things. Now there is a what's called the Thames Path that goes clear outside of London all the way to the North Sea, and I got a book on it, and it's pretty interesting. It just kind of highlights things within London that you would see walking the Thames Path, and for the majority of it, you can freely walk it. I mean, there are some things just because of modernization that has kind of interfered with the path, but if you're there for a couple weeks, a day or two, I would say if you don't have anything, if you're looking for something to do, you don't have a concrete plan, that's something I would say. Just walk along the Thames. You never know what you're going to see. You can find a lot of different things that might pique your interest. Now we're going up, and you'll see the two dots, and you'll see Shakespeare Globe. But before Shakespeare Globe is the Tate Modern, where it's the more modern art museum in London. You're gonna have there's Andy Warhol in there, and there's Picasso and some other modern artists. There's a lot of modern art that I don't personally get. I guess it's very abstract. It just looks like someone threw a painting against the wall to me. But if modern art's your thing, that is definitely a place to check out. Now, between Shakespeare Globe and the Tate's Modern, you can't really see it much, but there's a bridge, and that's the Millennium Bridge, and that's a pedestrian only bridge. That's pretty nice to be able to see the river and not have to worry about traffic. So if you want to take pictures across the river, that's a good, other than taking one if you're on the boat, that'd be a way to do it. Now Shakespeare Globe is it's a auditorium for plays, and it's built to the general specifications of what Shakespeare's original playhouse would have been, and they performed Shakespeare plays obviously, and it was actually an American that was that's Sam Wanamaker, was the driving force for the Shakespeare Globe. Now, the original site of Shakespeare Theater is a couple of blocks away from there. There's not really anything to see because obviously it's been long gone, but there are some markers there, kind of for the historical presence. As we're going along, um, right in here, you'll find the Golden Hind, which is Sir Francis Drake's ship. Now, it is a recreation, but it's pretty neat. You kind of get the idea of what the sailing ships for explorers and stuff were like that back then. Right here where I'm going, that's London Bridge, the new London Bridge now. Obviously, the previous London Bridge is in Lake Havasu in Arizona. But if you just want to, well, you know what? I just lied. That's not London Bridge. That's the rail bridge. This is London Bridge. Oh Jesus! See, I don't even know where I'm going. So the Golden Hind is like probably right near, and yeah, the Golden Hind. Golden Hind. I said over here. It's over here. Sorry, because right here where the star is where the Clink, which is one of the most famous or infamous prisons in London, was, and didn't go in there. They just kind of have a little museum to it, but yeah, that's where the term uh, "they put me in the clink" came from. So over here where you see Whiskey Ginger, that's a restaurant within London Borough Market, and Borough Market is it's a lot of foods. They do have other items, but it's a very large food market, and you can pretty much get almost anything you want. Now I'm gonna pop onto the next slide here, and I should have started with this one here. All right, here we go. Yeah, because now you can see the Clink Prison Museum in London Bridge here, and Whiskey Ginger in the Borough Market. Now, just north of Borough Market is Suffolk Cathedral. Um, it's one of the oldest cathedrals in London, and it's the architecture is really cool. There's dedication to Shakespeare outside, and Shakespeare's brother is actually buried there, which I was not aware of until after I had come back to the States. Now, also around this area is Crossbones Cemetery, which is it's very rarely open. You basically have to look on the website to uh, know when you can go in there for tours. Um, it's one of those things that if you didn't know was there, you'd never know. But the story behind that is um, there's a story called The Geese of Winchester, and basically when the bishop of Winchester there was in charge, and this is we're talking. I want to say it was like the 12th or 13th century. Um, it might have been later than that. I'd have to once again. I should have all this stuff looked up before I go into this. But basically, you could almost say he was a pimp because he controlled the prostitution in the area. So Crossbones is primarily Not completely, but it's quite a bit of prostitutes buried there. So keep going on down. We get the London Bridge experience and the London catacombs or tombs. And if you like Spook House, that's basically what it is. I was expecting something completely different, and that's the way it goes sometimes. I was expecting, to go actually into the catacombs to see some historical, maybe on the scary side, but or spooky side, but more historical. I mean, they do give you a little bit of history, but then the tour ends with going through basically a spook house with people dressed up with chainsaws and all that stuff trying to kill you. South over there, you have the Shard. It is the tallest building in the United Kingdom. Now, the Shard, you can get a pass to go up to the top. It is, they do have places to, I don't want to say hotel, but they do have rooms for rent, and the rent is very substantial. You're talking like at least £1,000 a night. Um, there are higher end flats that people are waiting list to get into. But thing about the Shard is, since it is the highest point in London, you can see quite a bit of London from the Shard, and you can walk 360 around it. So it's definitely if you're between the London Eye and the Shard, if you're looking for that experience of seeing London from the sky, yeah, that's the way to go. I have pictures of course, it had to be zoomed in with my camera, but I have pictures where you can see Wembley. Wembley is 13 miles from the point of the Shard, so that just tells you. And it wasn't even a very clear day. Um, it was a bit rainy and a little hazy, so imagine how far you can see on a clear day. Now, the way they talked, they might have exaggerated. I don't know. They were talking about you if you get on a very clear day, you can see the North Sea, or you can see Windsor Castle, and Windsor Castle's like, was it like 30 miles out of, maybe not that far, but it's quite a ways out of London. So we come on. Oh, I almost skipped. So right over here we have the HML Belfast, which is a cruiser, and it actually was deployed during Korea, which I thought was interesting because I was not aware that there was British involvement in Korea. It just tells you about how the American point of view is. It was America, and that was it. But I didn't go once again. Not a attraction that I went on. Um, it's one of those things that depending on your size, whether it's height or width or whatever, because you're going through the ship, you're going to be very tight quarters and limited to what you can do. So, Tower Bridge. Now, just off Tower Bridge, part of the tour, you can see the actual inner workings of the mechanisms that work the bridge for the raising and lowering. Now, the raising and lowering of the bridge only happens certain times. It's only if a tall ship is going through. Generally, I was lucky enough the second time around to get a recording of the raising and lowering of the bridge. But Tower Bridge just really stands out. You can walk across the bridge both on the lower part, which is the drawbridge part, and there's the upper bridge, which has the pedestrian only walkway. Which the really neat part is not only can you see outside the bridge, but there's sections of glass flooring that you can walk across, so you can look down. Not for people who have severe fear of heights. Now, as we go across Tower Bridge, Tower London, absolutely 100% a must. If you're into any kind of, whether you're into historical preferences or just, you want that quote quote taste of London, Tower London has to be right up high on their list. I'm going to tell you, it's going to be, if you want a proper to go around Tower London, no less than half a day. But probably if you want a really true, really take it in, I would set aside an entire day for it. Now, north of it, you have part of the original London Wall. Now, when I say the original London Wall, this is built by the Romans. Now, there are sections all the way around the city that represent what the original city of London or Londinium was during British time. So when you see the sections of the wall, everything on the inside of that's what used to be Londinium. So it's kind of one of those. Once again, I preference history. If you're not really there for historical purposes, it might be something like, it's just, it's a wall's a wall, but it's pretty neat to see something from turn of the millennium right in front of your face. Now we're going to run over here real quick where this heart's at off Cable Street, and that's the Jack the Ripper Museum. Now, it's not a very big museum, and it's there's two type of people I would say this would be. Well, three types of people. Either your people who have morbid curiosity, the historical, or true crime people. But it has a lot of history of the era of Jack the Ripper. It has a lot of information, and it's a little bit off the beaten path because it's not quite into Whitechapel, but it's between Adgate and Whitechapel, and it's one of those things that there's nothing that, well, you probably can get a bus to drop you off close there, but other than that, there's not a rail station that gets you real close, so it's one of those that you kind of have to walk to get to it. We're going to finish off all the way over here to the Monument of the Great Fire of London, and just once again, one of these history things. If you don't know about the Great Fire of London, 1666, a fire started in London and burned the entire city down. So, the monument was created by Sir Christopher Wren as a memorial to that fire. Christopher Wren we'll talk about probably in the next video when we get to St. Paul's. Now, a lot of the cathedrals and Incidentally, quite a few of the pubs that are in London were designed by one man, and that's Christopher Wren. And the architecture that man had, it's just like bar none. So we're past 25 minutes, so if you haven't fallen asleep by now, uh, this is one thing I like to try to get as much packed in, because I want to block these into sections. But sometimes I think, well, you're staring at a Google Maps map while I'm talking. You're kind of like, yeah. But I just want to try to be informative from the American point of view. This is things that I think are great highlight spots to check out if you're in London. Now, when I'm talking about all these, you're not going to be able to do these all in a week. You're probably not even going to be able to do them all in 2 weeks. Obviously, there's places that I talked about in today's video that I didn't even get into. It's just places you might be interested in that I think really embody what London's about. So I'm going to end this video, and we'll be back with part 3, hopefully a lot sooner than this one came out. Until then, this is Sappy Nirvana saying, bye ya.